So now let's work with HDRi lighting inside of Cinema 4D. To work around with the HDRi lighting, let me just bring in a floor right here. So which is going to be acting as a base, and I'm going to bring in a sphere to demonstrate how HDRi lighting works. I'm also going to bring in some other objects right over here, like this capsule right here, and maybe an oil tank, or maybe a human figure right over here, so that we got a bunch of things that we can work with just like this. So there is a bunch of figures, as you can see. So now I'm going to create material to set up the HDRi lighting. So I'm just going to double click, and I'm going to say that this is the default material, so default, and I'm going to drag it on all of these objects right over here, just like this. So drag it in all of these objects, just like that. And then I'm going to bring in another material. This is going to be the floor, so I'm going to say floor right here, and I'm going to drag it on the floor. And now I'm going to bring in the other material. This is going to be my HDRi lighting, so I'm just going to say HDRi, just like that. And now if I were to double click, you can see that I can choose the colors. So I'm gonna deselect the reflectance. I'm going to go into the color, and I'm going to go to texture. Over here in my desktop, there are 3 SDR files. This is actually not an SDR file. You actually can use any image in any format. So I'm just gonna use this for example in the beginning, and I'm just gonna open this out. I'm just gonna press yes because it copies the image, and there you go. This is my HDRi lighting. HDRi is simply an image which is actually 360-degree shot. So it is simply an image that you can shoot even using your mobile phone. It's not a very big thing. So it can be used to create a natural lighting effect. So I'm using this as my natural lighting setting. So now what I need to do is I need to create an environment where I can keep this material. So to do that, I'm going to go over here. Not create a floor, but I'm going to go over here and create a sky. So the sky is like a dome around my Cinema 4D composition right here, where I can add in my HDRi. So if I were to click and drag it, you can see that the HDRi is actually applied. So it's simply a big sphere in the sky. So and everything else is inside. If I were to actually render something now, and for the fast render, I'm going to go over here into standard. I'm just going to change the preset right over here so that it renders faster. So 480 by 360, not much, but quite quick to work with. So if I were to press the render button right here, you'll be able to see that nothing actually changes. It does not, the light is not affecting anything. That is because global illumination is not turned on. And unless you turn on global illumination, HDRi lighting does not come into play. So I have to go into the render settings, and on the effects, I need to add in global illumination. And once I do that, if you were to press the render button right here, now HDRi comes into play. So you can see that yellow tint right here. It is from the HDRi light, as you can see right there. So if I were to actually see it, you can see that the whole environment is yellow, and there are some light sources coming on from different sides and so forth. And if I were to render this out, you'll be able to see that it calculates everything. It is yellow, and it renders out, and there you go. There's shadows according to the light sources in the image itself. So to make it more interesting, I'm going to add in let's say reflections and colors onto the material. So on the default material, let me just make it a bit blue right over here, and I'm going to make it reflective. So I'm going to add in a Beckman effect, and I'm going to decrease the reflectance to 50%, just like this. And for the floor, I'm going to add in a bit of a reflection over here as well. So I'm going to add a reflection of Beckman and around 10% of reflection. So now let's render out and see how that looks like. So if I were to render that out, you'll be able to see that there's the reflection as well, and the overall output is much more interesting to look at. And once it renders out, it does take some time to render if you were to use the HDRi lighting, because it needs to calculate everything. You can see that you get the natural lighting out of everything right over there. You even have the reflection of the HDRi image that you used, just like this. So you can see that this is the result that you get, just like that, without having to manually actually adding in lights. So let me just close this out, and let's use another HDRi lighting. So I'm just gonna double click over here, and I can go to the texture, and I can select another texture right here. So let me select this one and press yes. So another lighting is there. So if I were to render this out, you'll get a different sort of a lighting. So you get a bluish type of a lighting right here because the background contains more of a blue color right over there. So once everything completes actually rendering out, you can see that there's a different look to the overall environment over here. So you get those outdoor type of a look, and there's the lighting and a bit of a shadow according to the light sources. So it is more brighter at the top because the light source is heavier at the top. So you can see the before and after. You can see that according to the environment, the way how the object is represented is actually changed, just like that. So let me just select another one as well. So I'm going to go into the texture and I'm going to select this light right here. It's not essentially an HDRi light, as you can see. It's actually kind of like a neon light, just like that. So let me just keep it just like that and render this out, and let's see how this one looks like. So it's rendering out. You can see that it is darker compared to other lights because there's less number of light sources, but anyways, it works like that. So let me just fast forward this, and now you can see that you get this kind of an effect now with the night lighting and everything. So you got a bright type of a lighting over here and a night lighting over here, just like this. Another thing that you can do is you can control the level of brightness as well. So let me just change the picture again, and let's say I want to add in this sort of a lighting. So let me just go back to this lighting. On the color, you can see that brightness is an option. So if you were to really decrease it and then work around with the brightness on the mix strength and so forth, you can see that you can work around with the brightness. So I really brought this down. You can also increase the mix strength, let's say around 300%. Let's see. So it really increases up the brightness again, but 100 is the maximum that actually you can go into. It does not let you go way beyond. So there is an actual limit to this. So okay, sorry, I don't need to actually select any color. It does not matter. So you can decrease the brightness and the mix strength to actually work around with everything. So the brightness is low now. So if I were to render this out, you'll be able to see that the resulting effect is much more darker. So it is darker. Let me fast forward this. And even if you use the same environmental lighting setup, you can see that the result is much more darker, just like this. And this is the result. So it's the same lighting, just darker, just 10% of the overall lighting right over here. So if I were to go over here, let me just increase the amount right here. And that's it. So that is how you can control. However, if you want to really increase the level of lighting, you can also change the mix mode. You can use the add, you can use the subtract to darken it out, you can use to multiply as well. So there are different ways. So let us go back to the file that we actually worked with last time. That is the night lighting setting. That creates an interesting look right here. So let me go back to color, and you can see that there's the normal mode right over here, the normal mode, and the brightness is 100% and mix strength 100%. Let's just go off. You can also work around with the diffuse, but let's keep that as it is, just like that. So now I'm gonna go over here onto the not model but the mix mode. Let's add this up, and you can see that it is brighter suddenly. So you can decrease this out and decrease out the brightness over here, and you can work around with the brightness, the overall brightness of the overall scene, just like this. So mix strength is 100. You can see that I can make it much more brighter overall. So once I do that, let me just close it and let us render everything out, and let's see how it looks. So it is brighter compared to what we did last. So you can see that it is the same lighting settings, but it's a bit brighter because of how we worked around with the HDRi lighting, just like that. And you can see that you really create interesting effects. So you got a really dark mode right here and the brighter version of the same thing, just like this, as you can see right over here. So you go here and there are different works that you can actually work around with. So you can increase this, you can actually change, add, multiply, and so forth. You can subtract over here, you can even multiply this, and that's how everything actually works like. So that is how you can use the HDRi lighting inside of Cinema 4D. Hope you guys learned something as always, and as always, please like, comment, share, and subscribe.